I feel like what I can do for you is bring in the black customer, the people of color.
Is Terence Crawford ducking Errol Spence Jr. or preparing for early retirement? Alright, y'all, so the news officially broke yesterday. Yesterday morning.
That's beautiful, because you know what I was thinking? It's the truth!
About Terence Crawford fighting David Avanesyan, or however you pronounce his last name. A complete nobody.
Now you trying to kick me down to the other store because you don't want to confront me.
In the boxing world. And a lot of fans are disgruntled. A lot of fans feel like not only is this a duck, but this could possibly be Terence Crawford kind of trying to bow his way out of the sport without taking on his biggest rival.
And T, did I say terrible?
I just want to discuss that for a little bit. So let's discuss the ducking part first. Is this just an outright blatant duck by Terence "BUD" Crawford?
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's no lie. It's the truth.
And I know the majority of fans are going to say yes to that question because he's been the one calling for the Spence fight for a while, saying that Spence has been ducking him, saying that he's been the one calling out Spence, saying that, you know, all the crossing the track talk, all the I got to leave Bob Arum talk, all the you got to get a belt talk. You know, he's been saying that, well, everything you asked me to do, I've proved it and I've done it. Now, why can't I get my fight? Well, you've been offered your fight.
Don't raise your voice at me.
There was nowhere else for Errol Spence to turn. He had collected all the trinkets he could get at 147 besides the one that you hold in the headlock. And it came down to, well, now it's your turn. I'm going to give you your shot. Here are the stipulations. And it's funny because as soon as the stipulations broke, as soon as people started hearing the terms of the contract, that's where the problem started coming in for Terence Crawford. And you have to ask yourself, why would he be opposed to the stipulations of the contract? Because everybody knows in the boxing world, he who holds the majority of the belts holds the bargaining chips. So there should have been no conversation when it came to PBC and Errol Spence dictating the pace of the fight. If you're that confident in your skill sets and the fact that you can beat this guy, that should have been a forethought. You shouldn't have even thought about it. There was no hesitation on the part of Kell Brook to give Errol Spence a chance. There was no hesitation on the part of Sean Porter to give Errol Spence a chance. There was no hesitation on Odainius Ugaz's plate to give Errol Spence a chance, even though he could have went back and fought Manny Pacquiao again, somebody who he just beat, somebody who everybody says he would destroy again, get an easy payday, and held onto that belt a little longer, and still being probably in most people's eyes still been a champion right now. But Ugaz did the commendable thing. He gave Errol Spence the shot because everybody wants to see those titles unified, and Ugaz wanted his opportunity too. Hey, if I win, then I become the unified champion and possibly undisputed as well. There was no hesitation to accept the fight. Why, when we're talking about the pound for pound supposed greatest fighter in the world, or at least in the welterweight division, there's all this jockeying for position, there's all this hold up when it comes to the fight, there's all these question marks being placed in the way, there's all these roadblocks being placed in the way. Not once have you heard Terence Crawford say, all I need is the fight. That's it. I don't care about anything else. You saw Devin Haney go across seas and prove himself. Didn't have to do that, and did it twice because he knew, he was confident in his heart of hearts, man, this guy can't beat me. No matter how much I like Kambosa for him sparring with Pacquiao and being close with Pacquiao, I cannot deny the talent level. This is why I'm rolling with Errol Spence Jr. You have to see things for what they are sometimes. It's clear. The writing is on the wall. The water is crystal clear. You can see the fish. Don't even need a pole. Just reach in and grab it. But for some reason, Terence Crawford has a laundry list of excuses when it comes to this fight.
Oh, that right there is just disrespectful. You know what I mean? Unifying, you know what I mean, and fighting, you know, ERROL Spence, you know what I mean, you know, to going over there and fighting this joker, you know what I mean, that don't nobody even know. They got this boy pound for pound, they got him this, that, and the other, but he don't fight nobody. He never fought nobody.
And I think as a fan, and the majority of fans have pretty much hit that level to where they're like, man, we're not accepting these excuses anymore. At what point do we hold Terence Crawford accountable for what he's been saying? At what point do you start holding his feet to the fire and say, hey, well, if you're not going to give fans what they want, we've been supporting you all this time, you're not going to sell any pay-per-views, no one's going to support your venue, we're not buying any more of your merchandise until you honor the boxing public by making this fight. Now, I'm not saying this fight will never happen, but I do think that Terence Crawford could possibly sneak out on this fight by retiring early.
You're not supposed to get it for trying hard. You're supposed to get it for winning.
Let's say he does beat David Avanesyan, which most likely will happen. He's going to retain his title, get another title defense. Next year rolls around. Nothing changed. You know, ERROL Spence goes, fights a mandatory or whoever, maybe Boots, maybe Pacquiao, maybe Thurman. And he remains the champion. And then next year, let's even say he gains a little bit more fan base and his pay-per-views sell a little better than normal. At that point, do you have to say, as a Terence Crawford fan, well, I wish this guy would just retire, because nothing's going to change contractually. You know, nothing in the contract is going to change over a 6-month period. I don't understand what he thinks he stands to gain by avoiding this fight for another 6 months. Now, I do believe marinating the fight a little bit more, waiting until 2023 when all those other super fights had cleared out. And I told y'all months and months ago that because they had all these good fights so close to each other, boxing fans' pockets were going to get thin, you know, and you were going to have to start making decisions on whether you would purchase this fight or not. Not only that, you got Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all these other holidays that are falling around that fight date that they were talking about of November. So I didn't think that the money situation, I don't think they even thought about the situation of the world and the money situation for most folks. It's not on the up and up. You know, everybody can't afford to pay for all of these fights. You know, even though it's your favorite fight fan, you can't always afford to pay for this stuff. And I know everybody out there who got a little bit of money, who got a little bit of flash, is going to say, well, I can afford it. Well, you don't represent everybody. You're not the whole world. You're just a small percentage of the population, and you don't dictate everybody's financial situation. So at the end of the day, I think there were a myriad of problems surrounding this fight, but to be realistic, Terence Crawford could have made this thing happen even with all the problems surrounding it, by just signing off on the contract, accepting the times for what they are, and just saying, hey, you know, this is something that the boxing public wants. This is something that will benefit me if I win the fight. This is something I need. This is something ERROL Spence needs. And you know what? We both can move on with our careers after this. But no, we have to be drugged through the mud. We have to be Mayweathered again. And we have to listen to all of these excuses, these headache-causing excuses, just to drag this thing out for maybe 6 more months.
Everything you taught me from day one, I always remember.
Everything working, baby.
And at the end of the day, I think Terence Crawford still gets beat. Even in 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, I think he still loses. I think it's just an inevitability of when the fight happens and how he loses. And there's still a possibility he sneaks out the back door and tries to retire after this fight. And maybe not even a real retirement, just a retirement to where he doesn't have to fight any tough fights in the meantime until he can actually get a price tag he wants for an Errol Spence Jr. fight. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're more likely to get a response on the tube. Holler at me over there if you want a response. It's your boy, and we are Manny.
It's your boy Keys, neighborhood employee. Niggas knew that I was coming with fire. Y'all ain't up to my pie and up under a car. Your head under a tie, it's the S and the I. Player, we supposed to win. I'm in the booth focusing with coke in hand. Dude hate it when you see the chief running in. Ass mouth hurting like his wisdom teeth coming in. Now that's a roundhouse kick. Come round your house, letting rounds out quick. From Newburgh to downtown, it's that Midwest to down south shit. Y'all ain't fucking with. She chillin', saying tryna put the veal on the mouth. What's good? She nothing, saying tryna show his niggas how to ride.